Welcome back, students. Today's topic is mitochondria. Well, all of us eat food. Why? Because it provides us energy and thus we can carry out our day-to-day life activities efficiently, right? But how does this food generate energy within our body? And if food provides energy, that means we should continuously keep on eating every now and then? No, it will upset our digestive system. So, how is it possible that we can get continuous supply of energy? And how this energy is generated from the food? Well, the factory lies within the cells. As in our house, power supply play very important role, isn't it? As it helps us to carry out various activities without which it is impossible. Likewise, in our cells, for the organelles to work, there has to be continuous supply of energy. Which is this organelle that takes responsibility for supplying this energy? Well, it's mitochondria, the double membrane bound organelle called as powerhouse of the cell, because it produces molecules which are usable form of energy for the cell. So what do we mean by usable energy? Let us assume we want to buy something from a shop. What we will give to the shopkeeper in return of the goods? Can we give him just the pieces of paper? Of course not. We would give him the currency. Though both are the pieces of papers, the currency notes have the immense value. So we can say that currency notes are the usable forms, while the pieces of papers are not usable. Similarly, the food that we eat provides us energy, but it is not in the usable form. Thus, the enzymes that are present in mitochondria converts the food into the energy adenosine triphosphate, abbreviated as ATP. Thus, ATP is the usable form of energy that will help to keep the cells alive and also will help to carry out various physiological activities. So, let us learn in detail about this organelle, its functions and the structure. Mitochondria, in Greek, mitos means thread and chondrion means granular. That means these are membrane bound granular thread-like structures that appear in these cells. Single organelle is called as mitochondrion, while many are mitochondria. Mitochondria are present in all living cells except prokaryotic cells and certain specialized eukaryotic cells such as RBCs. They are randomly distributed throughout the cells. Mitochondria were first observed by Kolliker in 1880. Depending upon the cellular activity, the number of mitochondria varies from 1 to several thousand per cells. Their number is 1 in some algae such as chlorella, 500 to 1000 in liver cells, 30,000 in some oocyte, those are the germ cells. The cells of germinating seeds have much larger number of mitochondria than those of dormant seeds, while green plant cells have few mitochondria as compared to non-green plant cells. Mitochondria are randomly distributed throughout the cytoplasm. The density of mitochondria is higher in the cells involved in energy dependent activities. For example, mitochondria are aggregated or more in number in the base of cilia to supply energy for movement. Likewise, they are also more in number in the muscle fibers to produce energy for contraction. Mitochondria are usually sausage shaped structure, but it may be spherical, oval, pear-shaped, cylindrical or filamentous, and as well as sometimes it is branched too. The shape and the size of mitochondria vary with the kind of cellular activity that they perform. So how does the powerhouse of the cell look like? The mitochondrion is made up of two membranes, outer and inner membrane. Outer membrane is porous and transport material across itself, while the inner membrane is different and interesting to understand. The inner membrane is thrown with several folds that helps in increasing the surface area, and these folds are termed as cristae. Why these cristae or folds are essential? Well, it provides the wider base for ATP generating chemical reactions. Thus, the matrix of the mitochondria harbor many enzymes that are necessary to generate energy. Thus, larger the surface area, more will be the ATP molecules that will be generated. Other than enzymes, this matrix consists of DNA as well as ribosomes. Therefore, this organelle has ability to duplicate itself through binary fission, and therefore it can multiply within the cells. We should note here the binary fission is one of the features of prokaryotic asexual type of reproduction. Let us learn in detail about this organelle. The detailed structure of mitochondrion can only be seen with the help of an electron microscope. A mitochondrion is enclosed by a double membrane. The two membranes are the outer membrane and the inner membrane. The two membranes of the envelope are separated from each other by narrow fluid-filled space. The outer membrane is smooth, porous, permeable to small molecules, and also it possesses few enzymes, while the inner membrane is selectively permeable membrane to the molecules. That means it will allow only certain molecules to enter inside it. It is rich in enzymes as well as it has the carrier proteins to carry the molecules. The inner membrane, as we had seen earlier, that it has certain foldings called as cristae. The cristae increases the physiological active area of the inner membrane that helps in the synthesis of adenosine triphosphate to carry out various cellular activities. Other than outer and inner membrane, there is the aqueous compartment, outer compartment and the inner compartment. The two membrane, outer and inner membrane of the envelope is separated by a narrow fluid-filled space called as outer compartment. The outer compartment have few enzymes, while the space that is enclosed by inner membrane is called as inner compartment. The inner compartment have fluid-filled matrix. The matrix is rich in enzymes. It also possesses circular double-stranded DNA that is self-replicating, ribosomes 70S, and it can divide by binary fission. We can note here that the matrix possesses circular double-stranded DNA, ribosomes having sedimentation coefficient as 70S, and it can divide through binary fission are the peculiar features of a prokaryotic cell. Thus, a mitochondrion possesses two membrane, outer and inner membrane. The space between the two membrane is the outer compartment. Inner membrane encloses the matrix called as inner compartment, and the matrix possesses DNA, ribosomes, and The foldings of inner membrane is called as cristae that possess several particles, FO and F1 particles, very essential for the ATP production. Mitochondria carry out aerobic respiration that produces cellular energy in the form of ATP. So therefore, it is the major center of the energy. Mitochondria show a large degree of autonomy or independence in their functions. That means the functioning of the mitochondria is not controlled by the nucleus. Mitochondria have its own DNA which can replicate independent to the nuclear DNA of the cell. It can also synthesize different kinds of RNAs such as mRNA, tRNA and rRNA by its own. It can also synthesize its own proteins. Moreover, it can duplicate itself without the control of the nucleus. The organelle can also synthesize their own enzymes that are required for their functioning. But these organelles are not fully autonomous. Their some functions are partially controlled by the nucleus of the cell. Therefore, mitochondria are considered to be semi-autonomous organelle. The matrix of mitochondria contains various enzymes that are essential also for the synthesis of fatty acids. Mitochondria regulates calcium ion concentration in the cell by storing and releasing calcium ions as and when required. It also provides the intermediates for the synthesis of important biomolecules such as chlorophyll, cytochromes or steroids. Thus, mitochondria is very essential in our body.